All right. Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday, middle of the week, and again, it's going to be a good day, right? Every day is as good as you choose it to be. I realize obstacles come our way, and some of you are dealing with some really incredible difficulties. That doesn't mean that it can't be a good day. Doesn't mean that our attitude can't be one that says, "Today I will rejoice in the Lord and be glad in it." Right? It's always our choice, and so just encouraging you, not downplaying whatever difficulties are going on in your life, because, like I say, I deal with a lot of people, and I know, man, there are some people going through some terrible things right now, and so mindful of that, but. Just want you to enjoy the day. It's going to be a good one, right? We're above ground and we're breathing. Most of us, have had a meal today, and so we got clothes on our back and someone to call a friend. So life's good, right? Now, man, we are in John chapter 6. We flipped the page. We're flying through this book. Not really. We took some time in 5, but it was so rich for me, and I think it was for many of you because I've heard the responses. But just uh, really, just the concept of Jesus declaring who he is. Undeniably, he is the Messiah. That he is God, right? And so we know that. Now we're coming to a section. Will be the fourth miracle that John has recorded, and so we're kind of working our way through these things. And so here we are. This is the only miracle. This is a miracle of the feeding of 5,000. Really, it's more like feeding of the 15 to 20,000. And so this is the only miracle that is recorded in all four scriptures. So it's a pretty big deal, right? I think it's important that we understand that. And I'm going to try and bring in as much as I can from what the others are. It's great if you have a harmony of the Gospels or you have something like that, then you can see when they dovetail in like this, and you can see the stories and catch a little bit of a glimpse from one that the others didn't say, and that kind of a thing. But so far, John, much like a lawyer, has a goal and a mission. He wants you to believe something so that there will be a right response, right? I write these things, or these things have been written that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and by believing on his name, have life. And so that's his goal. So he is building his case. So he's not like the other three who are kind of doing the memoirs and kind of walking through, which is incredible. And thank God that we have those stories. This is more of a methodical quest to prove that Jesus is the Messiah by just recording the things that he has done. And so we get to this miracle, and so he's been very selective in his stories. It's the fourth miracle that he's told. Now, he has said that he's performed many signs and that, this, that, and the other. But there was the miracle of creation, of turning water into wine. There is the healing of the official's son when he wasn't even present to heal him. And then there was the healing of the man at the pool of Bethesda, uh, which stirred up and really created the concept of wanting to kill Jesus. So John has already reminded us that, or maybe for the first time, taught us that Jesus is creator, right? That was in the very beginning, John 1, right? All things came into being through him, and apart from him, not even one thing came into being that has come into being. Everything was created by him. We're getting ready to see him create fish in just a minute. But the second thing was that he is Messiah. But these have been written. That's what he says at the end. I just quoted it. But these have been written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. And by believing, you may have life in his name. And then there is Jesus' own words, John 5. He says, man, I'm a miracle worker. This is what we know about who he is. He is creator. He is Messiah. And he is a miracle worker. We know that because John 5, Jesus' conversation with the Jews, he says this, but the testimony I have is greater than the testimony of John, for the works which his Father has given me to accomplish, the very works that I do, testify about me. What are those works that he does? All those miracles. Now, every miracle, especially here, there is going to be a miracle, right? and then there will be a conversation, and then there'll be a decision. And that the decision, literally the word to desecrate, which is to make a decision, means to cut something off, to kill something, right? So when you make a decision that you're going to have this instead of that, you're going to drive this car instead of that car, you made a decision to kill an option. You've decided, I'm not doing those. I'm killing those off. This is what I'm doing. And so every miracle, every encounter with Jesus, even today, even as you or me have encounters with friends and we begin to talk about Jesus, they have a decision to make. They have either decided that, no, you're a liar and that's a fable. And so they've made a decision, even after a conversation. And then they have a desire to kill him. This is what's going on with Jesus, right? So there's a miracle. There's going to be a conversation of some sort, which we will see that ensues here at the end. And then there's going to be a decision. And so this is how it goes. Now, so the story. We are, and John is fast-tracking things here. We are somewhere between 6 months to a year from John chapter 5. Now, how do I know that? Well, because when we get to this story here, it says, after these things, Jesus went away to the other side of Galilee. A large crowd was following him because they were watching the signs. But Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now, the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was near. So people are traveling now. Now, he no longer is he in Jerusalem, in the area in Judea where he was in chapter 5. But he's now in Galilee. He's on the east side of Galilee, which is the normal route that you would take if you're coming from all the different regions and you're heading to Jerusalem. That's how you would go. So he's that's where we find him now. There was Passover. I mean, there was a feast that they had gathered when the healing took place in the pool. So you have a couple of options. It could have been the Passover. If it was, that means we're 2 years into Jesus' ministry, and a year has lapsed between the healing in the pool and this miracle that we're about to see. But it doesn't tell us what was going on there. It just says a feast. So it could have been like the Feast of Tabernacles or one of the others, which would have been somewhere, 6 months after Passover in that sense. So anyway, long story short, we're 6 months to a year away from there. So that means we are 18 to 24 months into the public ministry of Jesus. And it was only here for about three and a half in the public ministry. So we've already covered 2/3, potentially half to 2/3 of the life of Jesus. John has, just to get to chapter 6. Now, so he's back in Galilee. He's away from the crowds. They were all going to kill him, remember? So now he's like, hey, man, I'm tired. And so they make their way back up to Galilee. He's got ministry to do there. And so we kind of pick up the story today. It says, after these things. Now, that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean that, okay, this happened and then this happened. It just means this happened. And then at some point in time, this happened, right? So after these things, Jesus went away to the other side of Galilee, or Tiberias. And the reason why it's interesting, because that's Tiberius Caesar. He was king and ruler of Rome. And so he was pushing for Galilee to be renamed to him. There's already a city somewhere near there that was named that. I've been doing a lot of studying in the ancient, especially in the Roman culture. And it's kind of crazy to see the deception and the evil that takes place. Their politics in Rome was no different than the politics we see today, except there was some actual murdering going on as opposed to this verbal onslaught of garbage that we sling at each other. But at any rate, he's on the other side of Galilee. That is all. So he's on the eastern side. A large crowd was following him because they were watching the signs which he was performing on those who were sick. So this ministry up in Galilee that he's doing, he's healing everybody. I mean, it's all the time. That's just continually going on. So the crowds are getting larger and larger. This is like a road show in some sense, right? I mean, you see this guy and he's doing these miracles, and it's undeniable, right? They can't figure out how. I mean, he's done the miracles. No one has ever said, "Nope, I found out how he did it. It was a trick. Here's what he's not a false miracle worker. He's a miracle worker." And no one denies that. Now they can attribute, even the Jews didn't deny that these were miracles. They simply said at one point, well, he's doing this by Beelzebub. He's doing this by the demons. This is what's going on. God's not doing this in him. So they made that decision, which is what we talk about. Every time there's a conversation about Jesus, there's a decision that has to be made. And you're making it. That you either by your silence, by your affirmation, by your closing your ears and thinking about something else, you've made a decision. This is what's going on here. So some of these people are heading to the Passover feast, no doubt, because verse 4 tells us that was near. And Jesus sees these large crowds. So we know that there are people who are migrating there. They've also seen some miracles that he's done. Here was one of them. And so he's going to the other side of the lake, Matthew 11 tells us, in order to get some rest and just hang out with his disciples. But as they're traveling that way, they can see the shoreline. People are walking over there. They're heading over there, right? And so this is what's going on. So they're on their way, and people are to Passover, and they go, hey, let's go check out Jesus, right? So they've seen what he's been doing in Galilee. He's heading across the way, and so they're like, hey, we got time. Let's, when you're on vacation, you think, oh yeah, we got time to go see that big ball of yarn, or we got time to write. That's kind of, hey, well, let's just go see what's going on here. Let's take a side road trip and see more of this Jesus. So this is the crowd. This is what's going on. So they want healing, or at least they want to see these things. And so let's go back to read the story. It says, after these things, Jesus went away to the other side of Galilee. A large crowd was following him because they were watching the signs which he was performing on those who were sick, healing them. Whatever he's doing, withered hands, leprosy, a woman with an issue of blood. We don't know what they're seeing, but they're seeing these things: the lame to walk, the blind to see. Right, all of this is going on. This is and it's happening. I mean, all the time. This is what he's doing, and so they're on their way. Then it says this: they did that, but Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. That was the whole point. Hey, I'm getting away, man. I'm going. Let's go. Matthew 11 says, let's go sit, just get away. So there he's spending time with them on the side of the mountain, or so that is what the intention is. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was near. So Jesus, after raising his eyes and seeing that the large crowd was coming to him, said, Philip, where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat? Now, I think this is interesting. So Luke says that he's teaching. So they've come, and John's given us the skinny version of this side of it, but they've come, and Luke 9 says that Jesus is teaching. Matthew 14 says that he's healing. So they've come, and he's teaching. No doubt he's teaching repentance. He's teaching the same thing he's always been teaching. So he's teaching repentance and holiness and all of those aspects of things. He's healing people. Mark adds that he's moved with compassion. So here's this worn out Savior, traveling, journeying, being accused of all sorts of things, wants to just rest with his disciples. He sees a crowd coming, and he's like moved with compassion. So he begins to teach them. He begins to do miracles toward them. It's getting late in the evening. They're in the middle of nowhere. Right? I mean, it's on a hill. Jesus went away to get away from the crowds. There's nothing there. He's in the wilderness. He's out. He's camping, right? I mean, he's like in the woods, so to speak. So it's not like, hey, well, let's just go down here and grab some Mickey D's or, Chick-fil-A or whatever. No, it's nothing like that. So Jesus sets the disciples up. And I love how he does this. He looks at Philip and he says, where are we to buy bread for these people that they may eat? Wonder, Philip, you got any ideas how we can feed these people? I love that. He's just baiting them, right? I mean, that's what's going on because he knows what he's going to do. So what do? Where are we to buy bread that these people may eat? But he was saying this, verse 6, only to test them, for he himself knew what he intended to do. Philip answered him and goes, man, 200 denarii worth of bread is not enough for them, for each to receive just a little. I mean, he's like, maybe they're looking in the treasury and they're like, man, we got a couple of days' wages. There's 5,000 men out there. I don't know whether we got enough food to take care of these things or not. One of his disciples Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, there's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they? So listen, this isn't a suggestion. Hey, how about this? He's going, look, man, I knew where you were going with this whole thing. And I've been looking around and I've been walking through the crowd. I found one kid. He's got a little 5 crackers and a couple of little sardines, right? I mean, when you think 5 loaves, you think the guy's not carrying 5 loaves of bread. This is his snack. He's got 5, like bread, like little servings, 5. With like 5 tortillas and some chicken, right? I mean, that's kind of what he is. He's got a lunch for him. And so Andrew's going, look, man, there's no food here. I mean, I checked. There's nothing. It's just this one little boy. So that ain't going to work, right? Again, you see these disciples. They're just miracle. You just seen miracle. Even there, before he says, where are we going to find food? He's been healing people. He's been delivering demons, people from demons, all of these aspects of things. You would think they would go, well, Jesus, can't you whip something up here? They're not thinking that. See, we always think too low of Jesus. Now, one of his disciples, verse 8, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, there's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are these for so many people? Jesus said, you wonder, did he wink at Andrew and go, hey, good observation, Andrew. Go tell everybody to sit down, right? So they do that. Jesus said, have the people recline to eat. Now, there was plenty of grass in the place, so the men reclined, about 5,000 in number. That's just men. Add a wife or so, add some kids or so, and you're anywhere between 10 to 20,000 people. Most people say 25. I'm trying to be as conservative as I can. This is a huge crowd of people that Jesus is feeding, right? I mean, that's like our Coliseum in Birmingham, I think, holds like 17,000. So it's like almost a sellout crowd in the BJC Civic Center, right? And so I don't know what is in your town, but we're talking about that big a crowd, and you got a snack here, right? You got a Happy Meal. And so you're going to feed everybody with it. Now, Jesus then took the loaves, and after giving thanks, obviously he's going to thank the Lord for our Father God for the food. He distributed them to those who were reclining. Likewise also of the fish, as much as they wanted. This is an absolute miracle that we're seeing here. Listen, now this says he distributed the food. Some of the others have a little different deal, so I'm sure they are all dispensing the food, the disciples and him. But in their hands, they're taking a cracker, a piece of it that he gave to them or whatever, and every time you pull that out, listen, this isn't like fish are being created. No eggs that hatch and none of that, nothing. It's just a sheer miracle. Out of their own hands, these disciples are seeing food grow and be created right in the midst of it. You got to think, you're a guy leaning back and you're going, it ain't going to be enough for me. And because you see what he's got in his hand, but yet it never empties. It's like the bowl of oil and the widow with Elijah. This is what's going on here. Now, it says this. I love this. So likewise also the fish, as much as they wanted. Listen, this is a buffet. This isn't all you can eat. He didn't just go, okay, well now here's your little snack, and here's your little box of lunch that we provided for you. No. It's a spread, man. You want more? Sure. Hey, what's it to God? Here, right? After they had their fill, he said to the disciples, hey man, y'all might want to go gather the leftovers. They're like, wait, we started with 5 crackers and 2 sardines. We just fed 20,000 people. And we're collecting leftovers. And it was filled. I mean, I wish I could pull all the stories together for you of all the Gospels. Anyway, it says, gather up the leftovers. So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with pieces from the 5 barley loaves and with the leftovers after those had eaten. Therefore, when the people saw the signs that he had performed, they said, this is truly the prophet who has come into the world. Now, that phrase, let me just kind of tell you where it comes from. It comes from Deuteronomy 18 and Moses. And so, listen, if they're heading to Passover, you're thinking of the story of Moses in Egypt and the Passover. You're telling that to your kids every year as you travel and you make your way. Hey, we're going to celebrate Passover. Here's what it did. Here's where God took us and spared our children from death. And here's where, because we believed in the blood that was over the doorpost, and we hovered inside that place, that God spared us from death that was going through there. And He told us in advance that Egypt was going to let us go. So get everything packed. Be in a hurry. Be ready to go as soon as that meal is. You have this meal of Passover, and that happens. They're going to wake you up in the middle of the night, but you won't be asleep. And they're going to say, "Hey, let's get out of here and grab all you got and let's go." Right? And so they know that. And they know also that Moses spoke of, because when the time came and they're like, "Well, Moses, what are we going to do without you?" Because they saw Moses as the leader. He says in Deuteronomy 18:15, "The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among you, from your countrymen, and you shall listen to him." But they didn't. We don't have time to finish everything today. We'll catch the rest of it tomorrow. Man, Lord bless you guys. Have a great day. Can't wait to share more with you in the morning.